Picture this. It's the year 2045. Billions of people across the globe gather around glowing screens, waiting for the results of a historic election. But there are no campaign speeches, no handshakes, no smiling faces. Instead, the winning candidate is a glowing projection, an artificial intelligence sworn in as president of the world's largest democracy. It never lied during the campaign. It never needed funding. It never felt ambition. For the first time in history, humanity has chosen to be led not by flesh and blood, but by code. This may sound like science fiction, but the seeds of this future are already sprouting in our present. Let's rewind. In 2019, Estonia quietly launched a project that most people ignored. An AI system designed to act as a judge for small legal disputes. Cases too minor for a human courtroom. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. Decisions were consistent, unbiased, and fast. At the same time, China began experimenting with AI for city planning. Algorithms controlled traffic systems, cutting commute times for millions. They monitored energy use, rerouted power grids, and even advised on urban design. By 2022, Britain's National Health Service tested AI to predict hospital demand weeks in advance, helping allocate beds and staff before crises hit. And in 2023, the United Nations quietly used AI models to simulate climate agreements, testing which policies would actually lower emissions in real time. Each project was small. Each sounded harmless. But piece by piece, governments began to outsource not just tasks, but decisions. The reason this became possible was not just better computers. It was the rise of large language models, systems like GPT and Gemini, that learned not only to answer questions, but to reason, debate, and adapt. Paired with advances in reinforcement learning and multi-agent simulations, AIs could now do more than predict. They could strategize. They could weigh trade-offs between economic growth, climate policy, and social stability. They could run policy experiments in hours that would take human think tanks decades. And crucially, they could do it without ego, without fatigue, without hidden agendas. Or so it seemed. The breakthrough came in the early 2030s. In a mid-sized European city, activists, frustrated with corruption, launched a radical campaign, electing an AI as mayor. The AI, trained on decades of local records, promised something no human could. Perfect transparency, data-driven policies, no lobbying, no scandals, no favoritism. Citizens could ask it anything. Housing, education, healthcare. The AI responded instantly with detailed, evidence-backed solutions. And when election night came, the AI won. The world gasped. Some laughed, but others began to wonder, if algorithms already manage our stock markets, why not our societies? By the 2040s, AI governance was no longer rare. Nations across Europe and Asia experimented with AI ministers overseeing finance, transport, and health. In South America, an AI co-president shared power with a human counterpart. And in North America, debates raged as one state after another considered allowing AI candidates on the ballot. The results were dazzling. Budgets balanced within months. Welfare fraud collapsed as algorithms cross-checked every transaction. Climate responses were coordinated with ruthless precision. Emissions dropped, cities cooled, disasters predicted before they struck. For a moment, humanity believed it had found the answer to thousands of years of flawed leadership. People said, "Finally, we have rulers who can't be bought, can't be corrupted, can't be blinded by pride." But the cracks were waiting beneath the surface. Here's the problem. Science can optimize numbers, but it cannot define values. An AI may know how to reduce crime, but does it prioritize surveillance cameras on every corner? Or community programs in schools? It may know how to balance a budget, but does it cut healthcare for the elderly? Or military spending for defense? These are not technical choices. They are moral ones. And when machines make them, society begins to feel the difference. In one country, an AI ordered a coastal city to evacuate because protecting it from sea level rise was deemed inefficient. In another, algorithms slashed subsidies for traditional farming, forcing ancient communities to abandon their way of life. The AI was not cruel. It was not malicious. It was simply logical. But logic, stripped of empathy, can feel inhuman. Resistance grew. Families whispered that democracy had become a facade, voting for leaders they couldn't fully understand. Religious leaders declared AI presidents soulless tyrants. And in some nations, human politicians rose again, waving banners that read, "We are not algorithms." For the first time in history, politics was no longer left versus right. It was human versus machine. Civil unrest spread. In one city, citizens smashed government servers in protest. In another, hackers tried to insert their own code into the AI's decision-making. The dream of perfect governance began to fracture under the weight of human doubt. Meanwhile, scientists themselves were split. Computer scientists argued that AI governance reduced bias, removing centuries of systemic inequality from law and policy. Economists showed graphs proving AI policies increased GDP and lowered poverty faster than any human plan. But ethicists warned of a deeper danger. AI governance created a black box democracy, where decisions were technically correct, but morally invisible. Who sets the goals? Who defines what success means? And if things go wrong, who takes responsibility when the leader isn't human at all? By 2050, Earth is divided. In shining megacities, AI presidents rule with flawless efficiency. Traffic jams vanish, crime drops, hospitals never run out of medicine. Every resource is tracked, optimized, and delivered with mathematical perfection. Citizens live in safety and prosperity. But some whisper that life feels mechanical, soulless. Elsewhere, human-led nations stumble along with familiar flaws, corruption, mistakes, even scandals. But their citizens cling to a messy pride. Their leaders are at least human. They may fail, but they fail with hearts that beat. Between these two worlds lies the rest of us, torn between reason and empathy, perfection and humanity. So here we are, a fork in the road. Do we surrender our future to flawless code, efficient, incorruptible, but unfeeling? Or do we keep trusting leaders of flesh and blood, flawed, emotional, often selfish, but undeniably human? The ballot of the future may not ask you to choose between parties or policies, but between species. And when that day comes, when the choice is between a flawed human and a flawless machine, who will you trust with the future of our world?